Why did I not know this existed until 2 days ago? Because do you know what it is? It is just a lovely, funny, out-of-pocket, wacky shenanigans type of story. I think it's going to be When the Moon Hits Your Eye. Because I don't know why. Hi. 'Tis the most wonderful time of the year, that not being anywhere close to Christmas, for we are all Scrooges here. No, Scrooges and Grinches. No. The best time of year for this channel is the Goodreads Choice Awards. It actually came 2 days earlier than I was expecting. I expected it to come out today, which is Wednesday as I'm recording this. Hopefully it's Wednesday when I publish it. But it actually came out 2 days ago, and I have already had a look at all of the contestants and all of the categories, and I am so excited because it's just fun. It's just fun to see which books I have read, which books I have yet to read, and to try and guess and see which ones I think are going to win just based on the hype and the popularity of this year. And so I wanted to take you guys along with me. This past year, I did an absolutely insane reading challenge, not advisable, where I just ordered an unholy amount of the nominees from the library and just tried to read as many as I could. And I read myself straight into a reading slump. And I don't want to do that again this year. So I have a much more toned down, relaxed plan for how we are going to tackle this. But I wanted to take you guys along. So yeah, let me get up my screen recorder and we can look at all the categories, all the nominees, which ones I have read, which ones I think I am going to read, what I voted for. And you guys play along. Tell me down in the comments which one you voted for. If I voted for one where you're like, what? Why would you vote for that? Or you think I should have voted for another one, or think, maybe I skip over one. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to read that. And you're like, read it. Drop it all down in the comments. Let me know. Thank you guys for being here with me today. I am Gabriella Batel, the prize-winning author of the YA thriller duology The Don't series, which is the first one is about a young woman with a chronic illness, nearly terminal, but she's up at night, and because she's up at night, she sees a crime. She's the only witness to a crime that is way too close to home, and now it's coming back for her and her family, but she's not going to let anything happen to her family, not while she's still alive, and she is not dead yet. Then second one, without spoiling the first book, follows a side character and a mortal enemy who have to become allies, because that is how bad things get. And of course, very, very excited, I am the author of the epic fantasy thriller Ending, which is about what if the world, a different world, not this world, worlds where there are saber-toothed horses and two-tailed dogs and the sun rises and sets only once a year. What if that world was so young that Death was only a teenager and his little sister, Life, was sickly. She was ill. She gets poisoned, and he's going to find out who did it, because you don't mess with Death's little sister. There's a pre-order below, and I'm just going to say it straight out. I am trying to hit the USA Today bestseller list next year when it comes out in the fall. I am looking for pre-orders now. So if you guys think any of that sounds fun, pre-order link is down below. I would super appreciate it. I am also the founder and head editor at Bonepiercer Media, where I take a look at your stories and I help you with the editing and the media. If you're looking for developmental editing, so the bones of the story, if you're looking for line editing, so the pretty polish of the words of the story, if you're looking for proofreading, or lots and lots of type of media such as audiobook narration or the interior design, the design and formatting of the inside, if you're looking for a book trailer, come on over to Bonepiercer Media. And I have this great new package, which is the first chapter or first page package, which is really good for if you want to get an agent and you want to present that first chapter completely edited to an agent, or if you just want a good idea of where your story can improve, where your story is going, what kind of feedback might come later. That is a great opportunity for me to do your first chapter, and not only will you get a good gauge, but I will also send you my self-editing pamphlet that will help you to massively improve your own writing, and then that can actually reduce the custom rate of any further editing. So if you have a gritty, no spice, speculative fiction book, so we're talking dystopian, fantasy, sci-fi, horror, paranormal, whatever, links below. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to work on your story together. Okay, so here we have the Goodreads Choice Awards going up to young adult fiction. We have a couple of options here that I might read, the first of which being When Devils Sing by Zan Kaur. And this, I don't remember the person's name exactly. I just remember the person in the first chapter was named Samantha. And Sam makes a deal with the devil, one of three apparently, which when the devil said that, I was like, okay, I am very, very intrigued. 3 or 4 children, two of which are filthy rich and no doubt up to filthy rich and filthy powerful shenanigans, all join together to figure out a disappearance or a murder that is closely connected to an unnatural hatch of cicadas. And again, the devil or one of three devils is involved. So very intrigued there. I did start to read We Fell Apart by E. Lockhart, but I have not finished it. I also started to read I Am Not Jessica Chen by Anne Liang, and I really, really love Anne Liang's writing. I Am Not Jessica Chen is sort of the Picture of Dorian Gray spin-off. So no, her name is not Jessica. Jennifer? What's the other one's name? Jenna, not Jenny. So Jenna Chen is cousins with Jessica Chen. Jenna Chen is less successful to her mind than Jessica, and she wishes she was Jessica. And then one day it starts to happen. Everyone starts to think she's Jessica, and Jenna has to find herself again. So that's a possibility for me to read. But When the Devil Sings sounds right up my alley. So I'm gonna nibble at both of these just to see which one. I also have The Scammer by Tiffany D. Jackson, which I love me some Tiffany D. Jackson. And as far as I understand, this is about a person who comes in contact with, I want to say somebody's brother or stepbrother or friend, college roommates, something, who is a scammer but is also a serial killer or a hostage situation. I can't remember, but the cover looks really good. The concept sounds really good, and Tiffany D. Jackson is always really good. Frankly, you know which one I think is going to win? Right here. You found Oliver. We'll see if I eat my words next 2 weeks from now when I do the follow-up video for the final round. So yeah, that's what I got for adult fiction. Let's go to young adult fantasy and sci-fi, which, needless to say, I voted for Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I barely need to even introduce her, but Sunrise on the Reaping is Haymitch's Hunger Games, and it took the Hunger Games and made it precisely for me and added lots of Big Brother dynamics and heartbreak and lines that made me cry. Have Hazelthorn on my Libby shelf. It is an audiobook, and I also am like not first in line, but close to first in line for Hazelthorn by C.G. Drews at the library, but I haven't gotten to it yet. And frankly, I don't know if I'm going to prioritize that because I don't know if it would knock out my choice for Sunrise on the Reaping, but I do want to read it just because it sounds so good. It follows a boy with autism who is the foster child of this, I don't know if he's filthy rich, but this old guy just definitely owns a massive mansion or a massive manor and a massive piece of land. So I don't know if it's just like old money that's purely in the land or if he's still making money. But anyway, that gentleman's actual blood nephew, they have been raised in the same house together. And the nephew actually tried to kill our main character, who is named Ever. So Ever is the main character, and Lori, like short for Lawrence, I think, is the nephew. So once upon a time, Lori tried to kill Ever, but lo and behold, Ever is the one who winds up inheriting the estate, but only on a few conditions. He must stay in the house. He must, well, not get killed by Lori, and he must stay out of the garden. And as you can tell by this cover, it is very much a garden horror book. I have heard it is just like The Secret Garden, but horror. And say no more. That's enough. I did read A Forgery of Fate. That was absolutely lovely. It was a Beauty and the Beast retelling by Elizabeth Lim. Perfect timing right after K-pop Demon Hunters came out. That's all I'll say about that. I started The Floating World by Axie-O. This is another one that followed up very nicely after K-pop Demon Hunters. It was like the entire internet and publishing and filmmaking world just all united and was like, let's go with this general theme, because it is about a young man who is hunting a young woman who has powers, and they think she's a demon. So I started it. It is very lovely. I just didn't get to finish it, and I don't know if I'm going to finish it by the end of the year, but I'm going to finish it soon. I had heard of Hecate the Witch. It is a retelling of Hecate, and frankly, I just want to see a magic young goddess titan woman in the underworld. I want to see her interact with Hades. I want to see her interact with the goddess Styx, and I want to see it all happen in verse. And finally, why did I not know that this one, Wings of Starlight by Alison Saft, existed? Alison Saft. Why did I not know this existed until 2 days ago? Because do you know what it is? It is a book full fleshed out retelling of the story, the love story, the forbidden love story, the impossible love story of Queen Clarion and Lord Mallory, the Queen of the Fairies and the Lord of the Winter Fairies from Tinkerbell. I have loved that idea. I have loved that love story since I first saw it whenever it came out, and now it's a book? I mean, why was I not aware of this? So naturally, I put that on hold immediately. That's an immediate read. As for what I think will win this category, Sunrise on the Reaping. That's not even a question. Okay, we're going to skip audiobook and go straight to debut novel, which again, I have not read any of, but I'm going to read The Names by Florence Knapp. And this is a story of 3 different possible futures, each depending on what this young woman names her son. And she chooses 3 different names and his life goes 3 different ways. And I just thought that was so cool. The one that I think is going to win is Alchemized by Sen Lin Yu. I mean, it's had so much, people have been so excited about this forever. Okay, let's go to horror. My vote was The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. To greatly oversimplify this book, it is about a Native American vampire, and the audiobook sounds like The Colonel and Little Creek from Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, and it was so good. But to less oversimplify this book, it is an intimate look at 2 men, at 2 people who experienced this time in the West when Native Americans were being slaughtered by white settlers, and seeing their land and their resources and their culture and their belief system all encroached upon. It is very dark. There are some moments where I'm like, oof, that was extraordinarily hard to read, but it is such, again, an intimate look at a man. It is an intimate look at a person. So yes, as for which one I think is going to win, I'm not super certain, but Stephen King kind of always wins. Moving on to science fiction, I voted for Of Monsters and Mainframes by Barbara Truelove, which is a sci-fi retelling of Dracula, but specifically of the Voyage of the Demeter, which in the old book is the ship that takes Dracula from Romania to England. But in this one, it is a starliner that takes people across galaxies, and its main functioning system is an AI, and she is the Demeter, and she is the main character, and you have all of her friends. You have a fellow medical AI who is named Steward, and you have some passengers that she grows a familial bond with. You really see Demeter grow, and it is just a lovely, funny, out of pocket, wacky shenanigans type of story. It is so much fun. It is so perfect, and it is so endearing. The way that I describe it is that this is very niche, but it is like if the Magnus Archives met Stellar Firma. Now, if you are a Rusty Quill nerd like I am, you got that. If you are not a Rusty Quill nerd, I am going to say it is like Van Helsing, but set in space. And if you have not seen Van Helsing, I am going to appeal to a book and say that it is like the Lunar Chronicles, but unhinged. As for the rest of these, a lot of these look really, really interesting. Like if Of Monsters and Mainframes does not make it to the second round. Heard a lot about The Merge, which, if you'll notice, was also in the debut novel. And The Merge is about what if in a future there were so little resources that people had to combine their minds and share a body. I would like to read it, but because for this one I already have someone that I voted for, and because in debut novel I really want to read The Names, this will be like my backup. The Poppy Fields, that's about medically sleeping off your trauma. That sounds really, really interesting. So if Of Monsters and Mainframes does not make it to the final round, I will definitely read The Poppy Fields. As for which one I think is going to win, I think it's going to be When the Moon Hits Your Eye, because I don't know why, I barely know what it's about, but I've just heard about it a lot this year. Or The Dream Hotel. I've heard a lot about that one too. On to fantasy. I have not read any of this year's new fantasy nominees, which is partially not my fault because I've been wanting to read The Raven Scholar, but the library is taking a minute to get to me, but I'm hoping and praying, please God, that it will come in before the final round of voting and I can just binge this puppy and maybe have something to vote for. I do know what it's about. I know that it's in a world where there are 12 different kind of segments of people, each named after an animal, and the emperor dies, and now representatives from each of the 12 like provinces or segments, I keep saying segments, I don't know what they're called, different groups of people one of each of the 12 have to compete to become the new emperor. So that sounds fun because you can't ever go wrong with T. Kingfisher. Hemlock and Silver, a sort of a Snow White retelling, but from the point of view of a character who is like a poison. I just keep thinking of Mau Mau from the Apothecary Diary. She like tastes and deals with poisons. So I have that on hold. That is my backup so that at least I will have read one of these fantasies this year. As for which one I think is going to win, Brandon Sanderson is always a good bet with Wind and Truth. I'm going to say either Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil or Brigands and Bread Knives. Romantasy, believe it or not, I did vote in and I read 2 of them. What are the odds that I read 2 of the Romantasy candidates and none of the plain fantasy candidates? This is unacceptable. So anyway, the ones that I read were Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. This follows Emily Wilde, who is a fairy scientist, and she has a very infuriating, very handsome colleague who, I'm trying not to spoil the first book, I'm sorry. He is inextricably connected to the fairy world, which is both good and devastating for her field research. And this is the 3rd book. It was definitely a fun time. My chest was a little tight wanting to cry because her companion, Wendell Bamblebee, oh my goodness, he's my man. And then I also read Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, which is the prequel to Divine Rivals. And I will talk about this more in a later video, but the first third of this book really made it feel like I was diving into my own head. The way that she imagined this underground world was absolutely just gorgeous and vivid and right up my alley. It is like it was plucked straight from not something I have actually written or imagined, but something I should have written, something I would have imagined, that kind of a thing. So for now, I voted for Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, but if that one doesn't make it to the second round, I think Wild Reverence will, and so I will vote for that one, but we all will know which one's going to win. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. There's not even a question. I'm going to skip romance because I know nothing about them and I read none of them. Mystery and thriller, I voted for Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. That one follows Jet, who is living at home with her parents. She's almost 30 and she's got these grand ideas, but she keeps putting them off. She'll get to them one day until one day she gets beaten over the head so badly that she almost dies. Not quite. She somehow recovers, but the damage is so bad that she's going to have an aneurysm. It's like just waiting to happen. And so she decides she's going to solve her own murder before she dies and do it with her childhood best friend, who's such an absolute unbelievable sweetheart. And I cried like a small child for the last 20 pages of that book. So yes, I voted for that one. Another good one was Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man. This follows Vera Wong, who, not to spoil the first book, but in the first book, she finds a dead man in her tea shop and solves the murder. Meanwhile, being a lovely Chinese grandma who loves cooking for the young little grown adults, but to her, they're little kids who she takes under her wing. And then this is another murder mystery that she takes on. The Crash by Frida McFadden, that one was good as well. This follows our main character who is pregnant and she is on a road by herself for a series of spurious circumstances. She crashes the car and she gets taken in by this quite possibly benevolent, but equally possibly very sketchy people in the woods. And it's about her trying to see if she's safe, trying to get out of the house. And then you also have some differing perspectives that lead to a lot of chaos and a lot of intrigue and a lot of emotion. And I really liked all the pro-life language in it, how she just kept talking about how she's pregnant and she was saying like her baby, or her baby was alive in there. She had to keep her baby alive. I loved all that. And so, yes, those are all the ones that I read. As for which one I think is going to win, frankly, I'm not sure. It could be Holly Jackson. I might actually vote for the winner this year. It might be Holly Jackson. Historical fiction, I read none of. I started Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is Taylor Jenkins Reid's take on the 1980s like space run. The main character's name is Joan, and I think she's mission control, or she is an astronaut, ex-astronaut, and now she's mission control, something like that. The ones that I'm going to read are either Isola by Allegra Goodman, which follows, I don't know who the main character's name is, but I know she and her fiance wind up getting stranded on an island, and it says that it's an epic saga of love, faith, and defiance. And the other option that I have is The Hounding by Zénobie Purvis, and this follows a small town in 18th century England. It follows 5 sisters whose neighbors are convinced they're turning into dogs, and it's also pretty short, so it's very unlikely to put me into a slump. As for which one I think is going to read, Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Tell me I'm wrong. I would be stunned if anything other than that one won. And finally, fiction. I'm going to read the names because I think this is like a double or a triple dip. The Girls Who Grew Big started this one. I am not going to finish it by the time it is over, but it sounds very intriguing. It sounds very poignant. So if any of you have read it, please tell me what you thought about it down in the comments. It's about a group of young women, young mothers specifically, teen mothers who have their babies and raise their babies. And it talks about how these young girls, they shouldn't be pariahs. They need to be supported because they have this brand new, beautiful, amazing, super challenging, hard undertaking. And they don't need flack. They need support. They need community, and they need, their tribe to help raise these babies. So it sounds very, very interesting. I started The Emperor of Gladness, didn't finish it, but I think that one might win. And of course, Frederick Bachman, my friends. I know it's about an artist. I know everybody has been saying it's super awesome. Again, it's not coming in quickly at the library. So if I get it on time and if I can manage to read it quickly enough, this might be definitely a winner, and I will see if I will vote for it. But yeah, that is me for now. Yeah, I will come back in 2 weeks when the Goodreads Choice Awards narrows, and I will update you on what I have read, started, haven't read, am voting for, will still vote for, whatever the case may be. And I will see you soon because this is going to be fun. You guys have a great day and God bless. Bye-bye.